Welcome to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
And I'm your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
Always a pleasure to host with you.
It is a pleasure to host with you. Let's address our sponsors.
Lee Kossel and Crawley, super lawyer.
Fervent Care Christian Academy, Marion County Health Department, working strongly to help us with the infant mortality rate and the sleep program that's going to be coming online in our community.
I want to thank them profusely for being a new sponsor.
Brand new sponsor, and we hope we can continue to carry them as a sponsor to make health issues known in our community.
Absolutely, and we want to encourage you to go to YouTube and look for WHMB TV 40. You can watch this show after it's finished, along with others that you might have missed, and go to Facebook.
Yes, they like us there, buddy.
Yeah, and you like us when you get there. Like us on Facebook.
And we're also looking for sponsors. Don't hesitate. If you want to be a sponsor on Real People, Real Voices, we'll make sure your company, your business gets the immediate attention, A1 attention, to know that people know that you're in the community doing a good job. We can do that for you right here.
And we appreciate that. And we've got a great guest coming up.
Yes.
Miss Haley Lawrence.
Yes. She's
storyteller,
actress, native of Indianapolis, past model, Baywatch chick.
Was on Baywatch.
Yes, man. We got a great star with us today. And I'm happy she's home now.
Yeah.
Happy she's home now, and she's going to tell us what she's doing.
Yeah, her project is really ramping up to be something that can help a lot of people.
Yeah.
Listen to your mother.
Yeah.
I'm interested in hearing more about that.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back, and we're going to bring our next guest on with some information that will help with your transformation. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. We're joined by Haley Lawrence.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for coming, Haley.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So this project that you've done called Listen to Your Mother, Indy, supporting Pass the Torch for Women.
Absolutely. I had the opportunity to buy the license rights for Listen to Your Mother, Indy, and it's a fantastic opportunity to get with the community, to hear diverse stories about motherhood. So I had auditions last week. It's a 90-minute storytelling venture of real stories about real life adventures that people have had. And when we had 25 people show up for the audition, and we have a cast of 13 people telling some amazing stories of how either one woman whose child was born with no eyes, born with no eyes. There's some really great stories. I won't tell you now because I don't want you not to come to the show because you have heard all the stories. But this event, it's the first year. I'm going to be doing it every year, and it's just going to get bigger and better. Mm-hmm. And I'm so excited how things just have happened. I've met this company called Pass the Torch for Women Foundation, and they're a networking, mentoring group, and they mentor college students. Mm-hmm. And the work that they are doing is so amazing, and we are going to be sponsoring and supporting this group. So it's a nonprofit, and the proceeds from this event will go to Pass the Torch for Women Foundation.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
So how was this concept put together to have these stories, and where will people be able to see it?
Okay, Pass the Torch was an off-Broadway show in New York, and they have sold the licensing rights. And this is going to be happening across the United States, not just here in Indianapolis. And our show is Saturday at Indy Fringe downtown. And if you know Pauline with Indy Fringe, fantastic woman who really supports women and diversity and different groups.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, so we're very excited, and we're looking for diversity as well to really support diverse groups, have a representation.
And a great subject matter, motherhood.
Absolutely. I'm a mother. I have 2 kids, and I had a mother, and I have a mother. So I believe in the stories that people have to say that can make an impact and really be meaningful to people. And everyone with storytelling, you have a voice. They need to be heard. Yeah. So our show is Saturday, May 11th, and we are also looking for sponsors. I heard you mention sponsors earlier, that you can sponsor our show as well.
May 11th.
Yes.
And what time?
It's at 7 o'clock, and my intention for Listen to Your Mother, Indy, our very first show, is to sell out the first show and to have a second.
Wow.
And maybe I'm ambitious, but I don't think so.
Well, it's good to talk.
Yeah,
It's good to
it's
talk
a
that way.
great. It's going to be a great, fantastic evening.
How can people get tickets?
They can buy tickets online at from Indie Fringe, as well as Listen to Your Mother Indie on Facebook.
And if you could say that one more time.
Oh, absolutely.
And camera number 3.
Oh, okay, we're on Facebook. Listen to Your Mother Indie, and you will find tickets there or at Indie Fringe. So we're very, very excited.
And we're excited for you and your own story.
Oh.
The things that you have experienced over the years. We were talking off air about being back in Indianapolis, so you're not new to Indianapolis.
No, I'm not. I originally did a commercial here when I was 17. It's kind of how I got my start. But I have a background in psychology, and I'm a business and life coach. I do performance coaching, and I support women in stepping out of their comfort zone. So for this show, this is me stepping out of my comfort zone, and I will be working with the cast to really bring their best to the show. But yes, I'm back home after I left here at 17, and I'm back in Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Where'd you go to high school?
I was Southport.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you just had someone that went to Southport as well.
Yeah.
And
So besides Listen to Your Mother, you're working hard on that. What are some of the other projects you're doing?
I have this. One of the things that I really want to do, which is for next year, I would like to bring a large event of how to get started in acting and modeling here to Indianapolis.
Good idea.
Yeah.
There isn't anything like that. And years ago, I was a director of Barbizon in New York City.
Major House.
Yes.
Many years ago. I remember hearing that.
Yeah, it was big here in Indianapolis at one time. But a lot of times people feel taken advantage of. They give a lot of money and they don't get anything for it. They
Any
get sold on
results.
pictures, and I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in using local talent, local casting directors, local agents, and bringing in people from Chicago and from New York City and Los Angeles.
There seems to be, Haley, a lot of interest and energy around making Indianapolis an entertainment hub. Now, we're going to be a technology hub, but you're probably at least the third or fourth person in 5 years I've heard where someone says, we want to bring this to Indianapolis. Indianapolis doesn't have this. Do you think Indianapolis is situated well for something like that?
And we can graduate from beef and board.
Do you know, I really don't know. I can only tell you that there's always a market and there's room for expansion. I have a girlfriend who's a producer, and they did a show in Louisville for Hallmark, a Hallmark show. And I was on the set, and Louisville gets a lot of funding and tax credits for bringing films to Louisville. Now, Indianapolis, I'm not sure if that is even of interest to them.
Well, we need it.
But, you know, their honesty and helping people have a dream. I mean, I had a dream when I was here, and it was to be in modeling. And even though I'm really short, that was what I wanted. And to get to Los Angeles was hard. I went to Christian schools, and that was how my mom allowed me to go to California. But it still has a stigma against it, in my opinion. I could be wrong, because I haven't been here long enough. But it's really hard to get started in the business. There's not enough work to go around. But it doesn't mean that people don't have dreams. You know, they have dreams of being a star or having an impact on someone's life. And I think that being able to do that and know how to do it properly would be something Indianapolis certainly has space for.
You know, I've been in other states, and I've been in other states when they were filming movies. Probably experienced it at least 3 times. And then that component, those tax breaks are very important for filming companies to come to your state. It seems like we can do tax breaks and a lot of things for a lot of other things, but we need to start doing something for the arts as well.
Absolutely, and I know there's a company here, some friends of mine, Tom Alvarez and his company. I mean, we're looking for ways in which to help Indiana, and you have Mass Ave, you have all that really interesting cultural piece to Indianapolis that was not here when I grew up. And you guys are local. I mean, when I grew up, it was Indianapolis. And now Indianapolis is certainly so much better, and there's a buzz and there's an excitement that wasn't here.
Has a great 10-mile radius to it, the downtown area.
That is true.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things going on here that wasn't here before. And Indianapolis and it's a great place for family and kids. And people still have dreams. But going back to, you were mentioning about when I was down on the set in Louisville for the Hallmark show, the Hallmark movie, they did not cast local, they did some local talent, but the makeup artists all came from Atlanta. Are you going to tell me there's no makeup artist in Louisville?
Did our makeup artist take care of you today?
She did. She was fantastic. In fact, I'm trying to see if she will come and help out for our show.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's great.
I hope she will do that.
I hope so too.
Liz will do that.
She's been on this show nearly 3 years.
Yeah.
She's great, and
She's done a lot of
You
great
take the
work.
makeup off and, and
We will
we're
be horrible.
hideous.
Yeah, well,
you don't even look the same.
Well, you've been a great guest today.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and having me here today.
Yeah.
Welcome home.
Thank you very much.
Yes, welcome home.
And we're prayerful that your show will sell out.
Twice.
You'll have-
Twice.
Twice. We're prayerful.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. And thank you all for joining us. Stay tuned. We're coming back to talk about vendor contracts. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices with our very special segment on vendor contracts.
Yeah.
And Dr. Moore, if you would, give us some context. We talked about vendor contracts. Maybe some of our viewers are not aware what that is.
Vendor contracts, in my thinking, is when a city of like Indianapolis and maybe Carmel and other cities that are around us, they have services that they need. And they need services, and therefore they allow bids to come in when those services are posted. And based on the lower bid, or I guess the best qualified company can receive those bids. Here in Indianapolis, that's very imbalanced. Vendor contracts are so very imbalanced that it's almost pathetic.
It involves a lot of money.
Yeah, it involves a lot of money, and it goes back to people who have established relationships and who have been doing it for years with the constituency. But others are not treated fair in that process. For instance, you have a jail system going up right now, and I think they're doing the best that they can do at this particular time to make sure that there are minority contractors and contractors involved in that. But there are some companies out there who are just not honest in their diversity. I won't call their names, but they're not honest in their diversity. And then we have people who have selected these companies who already know that they are not honest in their diversity and giving minority contracts and creating minority vendors. One thing I've learned about Indianapolis as it relates to the construction business, they're concerned about making minority groups subs and not primes. I mean, many years ago, when there were good politicians who sit in those seats downtown, they made sure that if there was a prime, that they would bring a sub along and eventually develop him or her into a prime. But the seats have changed, and the personalities in those seats have changed, and so that's why we have these issues in our city and why people are so unhappy with the idea of vendor contracts and minority construction companies being a part of whatever's going on in the city of Indianapolis. Over $1 billion will come through here in the next 3 to 4 years. And that has to change. And I think the community needs to be very much aware of that to the point to where we need to hold people to the fire at the ballot box. You know, I've been sitting, looking and trying to weigh out the next election, and I've just sat down and discovered there has not been 3 or 4 things done in the Afro-American community under this administration. And so that needs to be addressed. And vendor contracts is one of them.
Well, vendor contracts certainly is a big deal, and Faith, certainly as we talk about vendor contracts, the city of Indianapolis has, in government, a certain percentage that we're supposed to reach and or exceed to make sure that minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses are getting those bids. I think you bring up a good point about sometime or a lot of times not having those contractors, those vendor contractors be primes,
Right.
but bringing them up in as subs, and I think that has to change as well.
No, it definitely has to change. I mean, you can't depend on people who are major multi-million-dollar companies. They want the whole caboodle. You know, they don't. You know, they don't want to share that with minorities on an. Well, this is an imbalanced city anyway.
Well, sometimes the pushback is we can't find minority contractors that have capacity
Well, that's,
to work on big projects.
Well, you know, I don't mind calling this young man's name. I think it's Midwest Concrete. Young man named Addison Simpson Jr. has a concrete company. He's certified with the city. He's certified with the state, but he can't get a contract. So, whatever that is,
he has the capacity.
he has the capacity to do it. Matter of fact, he did concrete work on the Tarkington job over there on Tarkington in Tarkington Park. He laid the sidewalks and did some things over there.
And it's ironic that his father
Addison
just
Simpson.
passed, right, and he was
An advocate of that.
exactly. So yeah, that's ironic that he can't get the work that he's qualified to do.
Well, yeah, and he's just one. You know, he's just one, and he wants to develop into a prime, but he has the capability of doing that right now, but for some reason there's people who, and I don't mean to offend anybody, that look like you and I, who are sitting in places that possibly could help that won't do that, and which could add to some of the balancing of vendor contracts in Indianapolis and vicinity.
So we have a bid process in our city.
Have a bid process.
And I suppose it will be argued that there wouldn't be partiality because the bids come in and whoever has the best bid, the contract would go to them.
Right.
I would ask or wonder if we have enough minority contractors who are submitting bids. Is that something you would know?
I don't know if we have enough minority contractors that we would consider primes considering bids, because if you don't, subs won't get work. You know, most of our contractors that I know of, minority and contractors, are subs. You know, and they have to depend on the large conglomerates to help them get those subcontracts, and according to the system in which Indianapolis works under, there's a certain percentage that you must have in order to qualify and your bid to reach approval. You got to guarantee so many percentages of minorities in those contracts, and in most cases, it happens, but it doesn't happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like minority ownership in a company, to be bidding, for instance, female-owned or minority-owned, you have to have a percentage of minority ownership, and sometimes it's kind of ambiguous.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of companies that, they're major companies, and so Faith and I, she's my sister and I'm her brother, so I'm gonna set you up over here in this company, and then I want you to bid, and you come under, and you know, and it's all kind of stuff going on, but money makes you act that way.
So if you could change it, how would you change it? How can it be changed? Because if you've got these conglomerates out here, they've certainly have a head start.
Well, I don't know if I can change it because.
Well, I'm just saying if you were in the seat.
Well,
If I was in the
to
seat,
actuate change.
if I was in a seat to where I could bring about change, I would definitely talk about the change. I would definitely talk about the change until there was a strategy for the change, or go to the shelf and pull what's on the shelf and make sure that people are held to the fire on that. Because I'm tired of living in an unbalanced situation when millions and millions of dollars, are coming through here within the next 2 to 3 years, and then you have people who want to participate, and you forbid them from participating because of the primes that you continue to pick who give bogus numbers about their minority numbers.
When I was on the Board of Public Safety years ago, I don't think they call it that anymore, but I was on the Board of Public Safety, and they would have the vendors put in to do work. And a lot of times it was the same vendors over and over and over again, despite the fact that there was a bid process. But the folks who had the power of the pen would select the same people. And I would always ask the question, can you find somebody else? Well, they have the best price, or they would come up with some excuse. So I would always go find, because my question would be, is it illegal to go outside of Indiana to find a contractor to do the work? And if the answer was no, then we should do that. And the answer was no. It didn't have to be someone in Indiana. And sometimes the contractors they had were not Hoosiers. They were just people that they had used all the time.
Yeah, and I'm like this. I mean, if anybody knows Wayne Moore, they know I love this city, man. And I want to see everybody those sit at the table get a piece of it, and because it makes a better, healthier city. You know, it makes it. You know, if you want a city to be one, allow people to come to the table, and see what they can offer and get from the table to make Indianapolis one city. And so I think the people that I talk to are tired of the bogus, statements of those type of ideas, because there's nothing that we can put our finger on today that happened in the last 4 years in the community, black community, I want to say it that way, that is significant, that has great significance, whether it be vendor contracts, whether it be development of neighborhoods,
Well, to your point, with my understanding, the numbers or percentages for vendor contracts has gone down.
I didn't want to say that.
The Ballard administration was much higher,
Right.
and it appears that it's gone down during the present administration. So hopefully we can see that change.
Yeah.
And that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, and we're going to come back with shows like this, Jackson. We're going to come back with shows like this to inform the community because it's important that we create not one city, but a balanced city.
And with that, good night.